Never give up. The words are simple, almost too simple, and yet within them lies the greatest secret of achievement known to mankind. Think about this. The time will pass anyway. Whether you pursue your dream or abandon it, whether you persist or surrender, the clock will tick, the days will turn, and the years will roll by. The only question is, what will you have to show for it when that time has passed? History is filled with men and women who understood this truth. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before perfecting the electric light. Abraham Lincoln suffered defeats and setbacks for decades before he ever stepped into the White House. Beethoven, even when silence crept in and robbed him of his hearing, continued to compose music that still thunders in the hearts of men centuries later. Each of them knew one unshakable fact. Time does not pause for the defeated, nor does it accelerate for the determined. It simply moves, and so long as it moves, persistence remains the only bridge between today's struggle and tomorrow's triumph. Consider the alternative. How many dreams have died in silence, not because they were impossible, but because the dreamer gave up too soon? The painter who set down the brush, the inventor who shelved his sketches, the student who closed the book, each of them abandoned not just a task, but a future. And yet the days still passed. The hours still vanished into eternity. They lost not only the dream, but the reward that would have been waiting at the end of patience. Life will demand something of you whether you persist or not. It will ask you to endure, to wait, to labor, to sacrifice. If you quit, you will not escape the cost. You will only pay it in the coin of regret rather than the coin of achievement. Both are expensive. One buys you a future, the other buys you nothing. Persistence is not about stubbornness for its own sake. It is about vision, about faith in the unseen, about knowing that every seed planted requires a season of waiting before the harvest. The farmer does not abandon his field simply because the soil looks empty today. He knows the growth is taking place beneath the surface, hidden from sight, working in silence. So it is with our goals, our dreams, our ambitions. They demand faith, patience, and endurance. Never give up. For one reason above all others: the time will pass anyway. If 10 years must go by, let them pass with you advancing toward a worthy goal. If 5 years are required to master a skill, let them pass with you practicing diligently so that at the end you are transformed. Imagine looking back on your life a decade from now. Will you be glad you pressed on, or will you wish you had? That choice is made today, in persistence or in surrender. And remember, persistence is not a matter of talent alone. Talent is common, persistence is rare. History is crowded with men of genius who failed because they lacked endurance, and equally crowded with ordinary men who triumphed simply because they refused to quit. The world does not reward those who start, but those who finish. Why persistence is the real secret weapon of success. If you examine the story of every man or woman who achieved something of lasting value, you will find one common thread: not brilliance, not luck, not even opportunity. You will find persistence. Talent may open the first door, but it is persistence that keeps a person walking down the long corridor of trials, rejections, and disappointments until the destination is reached. Think of Christopher Columbus, who set sail in 1492 with nothing but a conviction that land lay beyond the horizon. For weeks, his crew begged him to turn back. The supplies dwindled, the seas seemed endless, and the doubts grew louder with every sunrise. Yet he pressed on. What made the difference? Not certainty, not wealth, but persistence. The willingness to continue one more day and then another until the promise became reality. Persistence is not glamorous. It is rarely applauded in the moment. It is often invisible, seen only in the late nights, the early mornings, the repeated efforts that seem to go unrewarded. But persistence is the silent architect of every triumph. The world is full of talented men who never made their mark because they abandoned the race halfway. It is full of brilliant ideas that died on the desk of someone who grew tired of rejection. But it is also full of men and women of ordinary ability who carved their names into history simply because they refused to quit. Persistence is stronger than genius because genius often grows weary. Persistence is greater than inspiration because inspiration is fleeting. Persistence is the force that keeps a man moving when his strength is gone, when his resources are spent, and when every voice around him says, "Turn back." Success rarely comes to those who are the most gifted. It comes to those who are the most enduring. For the greatest weapon in life's battles is not brilliance or chance. It is the simple, stubborn, unyielding spirit that says, "I will not give up." How to endure the waiting season and stay motivated. One of the hardest things a man will ever learn is how to wait. We live in a world governed by seasons, seed time and harvest, growth and fruition. Yet most abandon their course in the middle, not because they cannot begin, but because they cannot endure the silence between beginning and reward. In those long stretches, when no visible progress seems to appear, the mind whispers, "Why continue?" This is the testing ground. Patience, coupled with persistence, is the true measure of character. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The waiting season is not wasted time unless you spend it in despair. It is preparation, strengthening the spirit for the weight of success to come. Motivation in these times does not come from excitement, it comes from discipline. The farmer does not rise each day to look for a harvest. He rises to tend the soil, knowing the harvest will come in its appointed time. Likewise, the man of vision must anchor his will to daily effort, not fleeting enthusiasm. To endure, one must hold before the mind a clear picture of the end result, and remind himself constantly, "Time is moving, whether I labor or not. If the months and years must pass, let them pass with me building something worthy." The waiting season is not punishment, it is proof. It proves how much you desire what you claim to seek. It separates the wishful from the determined. Those who endure this season emerge unshakable, for they have learned the greatest secret of all, that persistence is not about speed, but about constancy. Why time will pass anyway, so you might as well invest it wisely. Whether you act or stand idle, whether you labor or complain, the days still march on. The sun will rise and set, the seasons will change, and the years will accumulate. Whether you have built something meaningful or not, that is the unshakable reality of time. How many men in the later years of life look back and say, "If only I had begun when I first thought of it, by now it would have been accomplished." Yet the years slipped away regardless, carrying nothing with them but regret. Time is impartial. It rewards the man who plants, and it punishes the one who wastes. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each day, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." You cannot stop the flow of time, but you can direct it. Each hour you invest in growth, in learning, in steady labor, multiplies itself as the months pass. Each hour squandered compounds into years of emptiness. The time will pass anyway. This is certain. The only question is, what will it leave behind for you? Will it leave behind a stronger body, a disciplined mind, a completed work, a life well tended? Or will it leave behind nothing more than a trail of abandoned attempts? When you grasp this, hesitation loses its power. For every excuse withers before this truth. The time will pass anyway, so you might as well invest it in something that will stand when the years have gone. How small daily steps create massive change over time. We often imagine that success arrives in a single sweeping moment, a breakthrough, a discovery, a sudden stroke of fortune. But in truth, life does not work this way. Great change is seldom the result of one mighty effort. Instead, it is the slow, steady accumulation of countless small steps taken day after day, year after year. A stone is not shaped by a single blow of water, but by the endless patient stream. In the same way, the human spirit, the mind, and the future are molded by what is done consistently, not occasionally. As Aristotle observed long ago, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. If a man were to read only 10 pages of a worthwhile book each evening, in a year's time he would have consumed several volumes. If he were to save a small portion of his earnings each week, in a decade he would possess a fortune he once thought impossible. If he were to improve his craft a little each day, over the course of years he would stand among the masters. The secret is not in intensity, but in constancy. Too many men exhaust themselves in a burst of effort, only to abandon their path when results do not appear quickly. But the wise understand, progress is like the growth of a tree. The roots must take hold long before the branches stretch toward the sky. Each small step, though it may seem insignificant, is part of a larger invisible structure being built within you. Discipline compounds, knowledge compounds, effort compounds. What is weak today, if exercised daily, becomes strength tomorrow. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not curse the slow pace of progress. Remember this: the mighty pyramids were built stone by stone, the great symphonies were written note by note, and the noblest lives are shaped choice by choice, day by day. Massive change is nothing more than the evidence of small steps faithfully taken over time. If you can master the day, this day, and then the next, you can master a lifetime. The dangers of quitting too early and living with regret. Of all the pains a man may endure, few cut deeper than the quiet ache of regret. It is the sorrow not of what was lost, but of what was abandoned. A dream half built, a talent never sharpened, a path deserted just before the summit was reached. This is the hidden cost of quitting too soon. When a man quits, he often tells himself, "It was not meant to be." Yet deep within, he knows that what he lacked was not the ability, but the endurance. The truth is, most who fail never truly fail. They simply stop too early. They dig for gold, and when the soil grows hard, they leave the mine, not knowing they were inches from the vein. Time reveals this cruelty. Years later, when he sees another man succeed in the very field he once pursued, he realizes the difference was not talent, but persistence. And so regret sets in, a companion far heavier than struggle, for struggle strengthens a man, but regret weakens him. Shakespeare wrote, "Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once." To quit before the finish is to suffer many small deaths, each one a burial of potential. Better to endure hardship now than to live a lifetime haunted by the thought, "I could have been, if only I had continued." The danger of quitting early is not merely the loss of the goal, it is the loss of self-respect. For every time a man gives up, he convinces himself silently that he is weaker than he truly is. His confidence erodes, his will diminishes, and he becomes hesitant to attempt again. But persistence builds the opposite. Each time you refuse to quit, you engrave within yourself the knowledge, "I am capable of enduring more than I thought." That knowledge becomes strength, and that strength carries you across future trials. So beware the temptation to quit when progress feels slow, when rewards seem distant, when obstacles stand tall. For you may be closer to the breakthrough than you can imagine, and to abandon your path in that moment is to trade the triumph of tomorrow for the regret of a lifetime. How to reframe challenges as part of your growth journey. Every man who sets his hand to meaningful work will meet resistance. Obstacles, setbacks, and disappointments are not signs that you are on the wrong road. They are proof that the road is worth walking. No mountain can be climbed without steep cliffs. No strength can be built without weight to bear. Too often we view challenges as enemies when in truth they are allies in disguise. They refine us. They strip away weakness and demand growth. As Seneca wisely said nearly 2,000 years ago, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Without difficulty, we would remain soft, untested, and unprepared for greater things. Think of the oak tree. Only the violent winds cause its roots to grow deeper. Without storms, it would topple at the first strong gust. And so it is with men. Without trials, there is no endurance. Without endurance, no greatness. The challenge itself is the training ground where character is forged. The wise man does not curse the obstacle. He studies it, learns from it, and thanks it for the strength it forces him to develop. Every setback carries a lesson, every hardship a hidden reward. If you reframe the trial as a teacher, you never truly lose. You either advance or you learn. The world belongs not to the one who avoids struggle, but to the one who accepts it as part of the bargain of growth. Each challenge you endure becomes part of your story, a proof of your resilience, a reminder of what you are capable of overcoming. So when hardship comes, and it will, do not shrink back. Say instead, "This is part of my growth. This is the shaping of my strength. This is the proof that I am on the path." For the man who embraces challenges as stepping stones, there is no true defeat, only preparation for greater victories. So, my friends, the truth we have uncovered is simple, yet life-changing. Time will move forward, whether you act or remain idle, whether you persist or surrender. The question is not, will the years pass? For they surely will, but what will you have to show when they do? We have seen that persistence is the great secret weapon, that the waiting season can be endured with patience, that time is a currency to be invested, not wasted. We have learned that small daily steps accumulate into massive change, that quitting too early leads only to regret, and that challenges are not curses but the very tools that forge our strength. So, begin today. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Do not wait for certainty. Do not wait for approval. Take one small step in the direction of your dream, and then another tomorrow, and another the day after. Refuse to quit, even when the road feels long, for the time will pass anyway. Better to let it pass in the building of something great than in the erosion of regret. This is the path of the uncommon man, the one who endures, who persists, who creates his future one steadfast day at a time. And when the years have rolled by, he will stand, not with the pain of what might have been, but with the quiet, unshakable satisfaction of what is. So choose now, persist, endure, grow, for the time will pass anyway, and the future, for better or worse, will bear your signature.